So guys, I'm going to attempt to put the lowering kit on this Voge 300 Rally and just see where we end up. I've been using it for 6 months as it is, and it's fine. It's not too bad. You can get your foot more or less down normally, but on some of the really rough terrain and some technical tracks with deep ruts where you sort of bounce and you come over, at times you find you're on tiptoes and it's a bit too high. So I'd like it just a little bit lower without altering the dynamics of the bike. I hope you can hear me. I haven't got my DJ microphone tagged on. I've left it down on my jacket at the other house. And what I'll do quickly, I'll show you how, not a lot of room where I'm actually working at the moment, but I'll show you the height of it at the moment as it is. And hopefully we can pick this up on camera. So if we get the side stand up, right, what I'll do, it's dead straight in front of me now. So I've got the bars straight, and I'm on the ball of my foot both sides with maximum sag. If I cant it over to my right side, to the throttle side, I'm flat footed if I scoot a little bit to that side, and likewise if I come back to this side, the bike is on a slight tilt, maybe 10-degree tilt over, so I'm flat footed. You can obviously move across the saddle so you can keep your foot on the floor flat, and the same this side, and you can move your foot to the brake, and you can be totally flat footed at a junction on normal roads. It's not a problem, but to get both feet flat on the ground for my inside leg, which is just over 30 and a half maybe, with off-road boots, they've got a bit of a thicker sole, you've got a bit more purchase, but I'm just tapping both sides. Obviously when you go around a bend and you're on dirt tracks, you cant it over so you can dab quite easily on the ground. It's just on the off case that you hit a bit of a dip and you need to get both feet down and feel secure. At the moment as this bike sits, I can't do that exactly now. For you younger riders, you'll be riding bikes that are a lot higher than this. I think this is a 920 seat height. Some of you are riding 960 seat heights on off-road or dual sport bikes without a problem, and you can ride them without a problem. It's just as you get older you want a bit more security, so hence trying this out now. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say if I do that I'm going to have to shorten the side stand. I'm aware of that, so I'll cut a piece off and I'll weld it, cut a piece out, weld it back in. We're going to try the lowering link. If it's no good, what I'll have to do then is obviously keep the piece I chomp out, put an internal tube in and weld it back in and put the original linkage back in, but it's not a problem. It's something you can swap and change around. So I'll move the bike over into the corner over there. It's a bit of a cloudy day today, but it's currently 38 degrees at the moment, which is crazy, hovering around 100 degrees, and we'll give it a go, and we'll test it afterwards, seat height wise, see how much sag we've got on it and whether it's altered the dynamics of the bike, i.e. the front coming up too much and the back going down too much. Now if that's the case, the clamps need dropping in the triple tree, and of course to do that ideally then you'd have to put bar risers on, because at the moment as stock as it comes out of the factory, the handlebars are more or less touching the head of the front forks. There's probably about probably without looking, maybe 3-4 millimeters under there. So to get this to drop down the triple tree, you'd need to put razors on here so you've got a bit more to drop it. So we're going to try it as standard as is and see if it's workable. I mean, if it rides great on trails and that without doing anything else, so be it. So catch up with me later in the video when we move the bike around and we start to do the installation of the lowering link. Now the lowering link is from a Honda 300 Rally. Slightly different. It's more or less going to go straight on, apart from having to drill 2 holes out, the standard holes on the non-bearing side are 10mm. So they're the ones where the bolt just goes through. They're not actually on the axle side where the grease nipple is and the bearings are. So the other side is 10mm on the part that I've got. I believe they're 12mm on this, but it's milled aluminium, so they should be fairly easy to drill out to 12mm and fit. So yeah, we'll try and see how it goes. So guys, at this point you're going to need to get your bike up in the air, and the most advantageous way to do it is obviously using a bike jack, a dedicated bike platform jack. But because all my other bikes, every bike I own, have all got centre stands, That's not something I actually own at the moment. I probably will get one. So as you can see, what we've got at the moment, we've got it on a concrete block, and a couple of packers underneath, and I've literally just hoofed the bike onto it. It's nearly got all the weight off the rear tyre, but it's not quite got the full weight off the rear tyre. Now my thinking behind this, because I've got a compressor and a pump fairly handy, if needs be, I can, when I'm doing the linkage, I can let the air out the rear tyre, and that should give me the depth of the rear tyre, so it'll be well and truly off the ground if I need to move it up and down. And then just a case of pumping the rear tyre back up and getting it off this lift I've created. So you can see there we've got a concrete block, 2 wooden pads. The suspension is right up in the air, so it's got a tiny bit of weight on the back wheel, not much. So we'll proceed. So the part I've got is this part, again AliExpress part. I think it was about €35. You can see the bearings in that side, they're standard, they'll go straight in. There's a grease nipple on this that isn't on the standard part, and Nick CNC, so nice CNC machined. Yeah, so we'll proceed to get the original dog bone off, which you can see underneath there. We'll get down and have a look, get down and personal. So there's the original dog bone, and that's the other end at the top. I believe that's the bearing end, and the other end's just captive, or it might be vice versa. We'll see when we get it off. I don't know, to be honest, but it's going to be pretty self-explanatory, I would think. From this side you can see it behind the chain there, just enough access to get a spanner on and a socket on the other side. So we'll try and get it off and take it from there, and when it's loosened and off, we'll see whether we can remove the bearing bolt and the other bolt without letting any air out the rear tyre, and proceed from there. So guys, that's the bottom nut on, the one with the bearings have actually got out, and what I wanted to show you is this section of corrosion here. Now this is probably clean off with some wire wool, and it's been said a few times on the bearings on the Voge 300 Rally that they're packed dry. They're not packed with grease at all, they're actually dry, so there's no packing in there. So we'll remove the bearings, if we can get out, the shim I should say, if we can get it out. And from what I can see in there, let's just get my finger in, there is actually grease in there, so I take it back. So you can see on the end of my finger there is grease in there. It is loaded with grease. There is grease coming out the end there. So the shim will re-grease the shim and put that back in. So we'll clean that up, re-grease it, and obviously the pivot point within this shim section has got a bit of corrosion where it's got to, so we'll pack that out with grease again. Now this is not actually a pivot point, it actually pivots on the two ends on the bearing arm on the dog bone, and the bearings on both ends, so not as detrimental as first appears. So we'll get that cleaned up a bit, and we'll pack that with grease before we put the new one on. So the 10mm bolt on the top of the dog bone comes out fairly easily. There's no weight on that once you've got the tyre deflated. I did deflate the tyre, as I said, to get some weight off, so the top bolt comes out as so. That's fairly clean, there's no sign of corrosion on there at all. And this is the top one with the bearings towards the top, and this is the one that's going to replace it. Now you can see the one that's going to replace it has got a nipple on there, a grease nipple to grease the bearings, so we'll check that out. So again, this centre shim just pushes out, and we'll use the original bolt to put it out. And same on the bottom one, it's just a tubular shim that goes in. And on the one you get from AliExpress, with a bit of luck, it should slide straight in, and it does. So before we put that in there, we'll grease that up as well. So we're at the greasing up stage now, and trying to get it back together, and we'll see how we go. I think the top one is a perfect fit, if I remember the write-up I've seen before. between the 2 points. There's no need to shim it with any bearing, with any washers. That should go straight on, and we'll get it on and greased up. Obviously the way up so you can see the writing, and easier access to the grease nipple on there. So onward and up, we'll get it greased up and start the reverse process. So I'm going to actually grease the inner sleeve and the inner centre that the bolt goes back in. Get this nice and lubed up. Plenty of grease on there. And that wants to go into our new part, which is there. So we'll get that inside the new section. It should go straight in. Just push it through to the other side. Now we're totally in the new section there. Plenty of grease on the middle section as well. A messy job, but there we go. So greased up on both sides there. We can clean it up after we've got it on. And like I said, stonking out here today, guys. The only saving grace is that there's the sun's gone behind cloud at the moment. So let's bring this around this side. Awkward trying to film these things because it's at such close quarters that you're trying to work and you're trying to get your hands in the same spot. Or maybe the widescreen on this will pick it up, I don't know. We'll have a look. We'll see how it turns out afterwards. So we want to get that in there. Get that back through the original shim once we line it up. There we go. There we go. So that's the back one in place with the signage on the new dog bone in place. And I believe when the new dog bone goes onto position, there's a difference, slight difference between the dimensions that you can see there that need shimming a little bit. And I've got some washers to do that, some 12mm washers, if we need to do that. I would imagine that, you know, if you didn't do that, this would be soft enough to maybe pull into place, but I don't want a chance breaking any of the billet aluminium, so we'll shim it and get it back on. So let's get a nut on the top one and carry on. So guys, you may have noticed on that last step I omitted one thing, and that's making these holes 12mm to take this bolt. So 12mm hole drilled in them. Now the only cause for concern, and I thought about it while I was drilling the 12mm bolt hole. If you look at the original dog bone that's on the bike, that's very, very heavy, and it's solid cast steel, heavy piece of kit. And if you look at the top of the dog bone, the circumference and the width of the dog bone, you can see this is a heavy duty piece of kit. And the only thing that popped into my mind is how resistant this is going to be to taking some punishment through that rear wheel over anything serious, like any serious jumps or anything. And I'm a bit dubious of actually fitting it because of that. I'm thinking the way that this actually goes on the bike now, the first major crack on that, and it may fracture and may go, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, it might be strong enough to do the job, but we're in that position there. So that goes onto the bottom lever from the back wheel, and there's going to be a fairly heavy stress point there. The original sat like that, and you can see the dog bone arms are really thick. You can see the difference there now with the two is about, I would think, 3-4 millimeters. So obviously there's a difference in the distance at the back as well. So yeah, remains to be seen how durable this piece is. Now I would think for standard road riding, I can't see anybody having a problem with it, to be honest. You're unlikely to go over anything too bad, apart from the odd pothole on a road. But if you're going to use it for off-roading or green laning, and you hit something fairly hefty, whether this is going to hold up or not, I don't know. So remains to be seen. I mean, I don't do anything super technical. I'm not jumping 8-foot jumps and stuff like that, but some of the stuff I go on is quite gnarly, so it could well be an issue. Slight faff locating the bolt there, didn't want to go through the other side. So yeah, any of you guys fitted this, leave your thoughts in the comments below and I'll take a look. So that's the part I omitted before, making them 2 holes on the bottom 12mm. So I've drilled them out so they can take the 12mm bolt that goes through their perfect fit now. And like I say, the only thing that's a bit worrying, slightly worrying, is the actual thickness of the dog bone and the bottom eye on the bottom. So we'll get it all connected back together and we'll have... So guys, to get the rear connection in, the rear part of the dog bone, you need to lift the back wheel a fair way on the suspension. And just looking at that, the amount I've had to lift it up before we get the sag back on the suspension, I would imagine we're looking at maybe 30-40mm lowering on this. And like I said earlier on the video, we'll have to see how the dynamics change on the bike and how it looks. So at the moment I'm a bit reluctant to cut the side stand, but I'm guessing once it comes off this pedestal, it's not going to sit upright unless I prop it against the wall. So we'll continue with the installation. We'll get the rear pin in and some spacers, and we'll see what it looks like. We'll get some air back in the rear tyre because obviously it's going to sit lower than it should, and we'll check it out. So guys, there we are. There's the new dog bone in place, the dog bone for the 300 Rally, and I'm just hoping if it's okay for the 300 Rally, it should be okay for this. And it is a bit of a workaround. You have to drill them rear holes out, like I said. You also have to add 12mm washers, spacers to go to make up the difference. So a 2mm washer either side to make the difference up. Torque them up to the settings, and that's pretty much it. The other side, there is a slight snag this side if I go around, and someone's mentioned this before in an earlier video. I don't know if I can see with the camera, but there's a middle bolt just behind where I'm pointing with my finger there, and that encroaches on the arm, and you have to grind just the end of the bolt off, and you can see the piece in my hand there. It's just a piece of thread on the end that I've took off with an angle grinder. It won't impede the nut in any way. It's just under there at the moment. You see the 2 nuts on the back end. So I suppose the next step is to get some air back in this tyre and decide whether I'm going to take a slice off this side stand. I'm guessing once it's on the floor that it's going to be nowhere near canted over enough, and the question is, do I do it while it's on this podium, or do I just lean it against the fence and cut it afterwards? So we'll see. So I'll get some air in the tyre first, and we'll look how it sits, we'll look at the ride height, and then we'll deal with the foot stand secondly. Oh, job done guys. So what are we thinking? Well, I've taken about 35, maybe 40mm, no, 35mm off the side stand. So I've taken the foot off the bottom, and what I'll probably do, instead of grinding the piece off the bottom, I'll probably just weld a plate on the bottom just to sit on the floor, and I'll keep this just in case I really need to put the original linkage back in. And what I'll do, I'll put a piece of tubing inside, put it back on, I'll put a weld around it and grind it off and paint it. So yeah, noticeable differences. It's if I stand near the bike now, you can see, stand it upright, you can see there's a massive difference in height. How it's going to play out for the suspension doesn't seem to have as much travel on the back, although technically it should, but the angle of the rear dog bone is totally different now, so it may well need stiffening up on the spring on the back. So I might need to wind the spring up to take it up maybe, I don't know, ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch on the back, and stiffen the back end up so there's more suspension on the back. But I'll climb on the bike, bear with me while I walk around, and you can see straight away next to my legs, the bike was up here before. I reckon it's gone down a good at least 40mm, I reckon, on the back end. So before it would have been under my hand there, so it's dropped a considerable amount. The thing with that now, even with a sawn off side stand, before I was sort of climbing onto it via the foot peg, I can actually climb over, and if I stand up right now, I'm flat-footed both sides on the ground, so it's I would say the seat height is now at least 870, maybe a bit touch higher because of the width of the seat. The very narrow seat's giving you a higher purchase on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a helmet on, get some pants on, just give it a preliminary ride just to test it. But if you watch the bounce on the back end now, there's still bounce there, but it's very, very soft. It almost needs stiffening up. It's there's a lot of suspension travel on these bikes. You can see the amount of damping on the front there. There's a lot of dive on them, and it just depends. I mean, I remember doing a 400 DRZ years ago, and left the front end without dropping the triple tree on the front, and it really did alter the geometry in as much as the steering was very outwardly pitched, so it was very slow steering as opposed to being very quick as it was before. And I ended up dropping the triple tree down on the stanchions and putting bar risers on. So from what I can gather from all the reports I've heard on this so far using this Honda dog bone, people have not said anything about dropping it through the triple tree or doing anything on the front end. They've said it's okay, so just a case of trying it and seeing. Like I said, I've always got the option to put the original dog bone back on, and it may well be that to get it through its first test, which is 4 years here in Spain. So when you buy a new vehicle in the UK, you get an MOT after 3 years on your vehicle. In Spain, it's after excuse me guys, after 4 years on a new vehicle, and up to 10 years on a new vehicle, whether it's a bike or a car. It's every 2 years. Once you get to 10 years, it's every year. Commercial vehicles, once they get to a certain age, they go down from being every year to every 6 months. So my van is every 6 months for the ITV, which is the MOT. So I'll shoot down to our other house. I'll grab an helmet, I'll put some pants on, some gloves on, and we'll do a final wrap up of this video and my thoughts on it. And the roads here are quite rough, so I should get a feeling straight away how the geometry is on the bike, whether it's altered. It's going to send the rake out slightly on the front, there's no doubt about that. The back end goes down, the front wheel goes up, so you're literally doing that with a bike. So the front rake is going to be more kicked out and a wider rake than it was before, but it was fairly sharp on the steering before, so I'm hoping it's not going to have altered it too much. So a quick road test we'll see. So catch you later in this video, and I'll give you my final thoughts, guys. So guys, I may have to do a voiceover on this particular video. I'm going to set off, but for some reason I can't seem to find my DJI mic. I thought it was down the other house in a jacket, but it's not. So you can see the other house here is coming along. We've been doing some work down here. It's more or less ready for the rentals that we were talking about earlier in the year, way behind schedule. But I'll do a full video walkthrough at some point and let you know what the next step is. Anyway, let's try this lowering kit on the Voge. So guys, pleasantly surprised with the handling and the geometry of the bike. I was a bit worried that the front end raked out would change the steering geometry, but it's not noticeable in any way, certainly not as much as my old DRZ 400 was when I did the same sort of dog bone kit on the back. It's turning in really well over the around the corners, really travelling well over the bumps. The back end seems to be handling everything okay, even though it's been lowered. Even on the twisty section like I'm on at the moment, turning into switchbacks and severe bends, it's turning in just as sharp as it did before. The overall seating position is very, very different to how it was initially, and that's part and parcel to the back end being slightly lower, so the seat now has a more bench-like feel, which gives it a more retro feel like the 80s and 90s bikes. You don't tend to be pushed forward and down into the tank like you were before, so quite a relaxed riding position. If you're getting up over the tree roots like it just was then, it seems pretty natural, the standard position. You may be slightly raked back further than they were before, but there's no pressure on your arms, doesn't feel foreign when you're standing up on it. So all in all, it's a really good tweak to make to the bike. It definitely feels lower. I mean, when you sat on it, the aspect when you're looking forward through the screen at the front, you do feel as if you're lower down. Your arms feel slightly higher up than they were before. Not in a bad way, it's not uncomfortable, it's not something that would put you off doing this. But the main feature as I was coming out this ride was as I was coming to junctions, very, very easy. Just plant your feet straight on the floor. If you want to paddle along on a rough section of ground, it's very, very easy. Your feet are easily accessible to the ground. And yeah, I would recommend doing this particular dog bone lowering kit to your bike if you're looking to drop it a couple of inches. I would say the overall drop on the bike is about 45mm, so you're looking at a good couple of inches, or slightly shy of a good couple of inches. So the section I'm on at the moment is a sort of semi off-road section. I just thought I'd take it along here so I could stand up a bit more and see how it felt on loose shaly stuff, with the back end being down a bit, how it stepped out as opposed to how it felt before. And to be honest, it's really, really confidence inspiring the way it is at the moment. So I'm quite pleased with it. It remains to be seen how these dog bones hold up, especially over more rough ground, but if they hold up and they give a general off-road ride the same as I'm getting now, I'll be very, very, very pleased with the overall effect of the lowering kit. So guys, the lowering kits, if you go to AliExpress and you look for the Honda CF 300 Rally lowering kit, you'll see a plethora of them ones on there. The only one you can't use is the one that's got the adjustable lowering on it, because you need to drill out the hole to make that 12mm instead of 10mm. So guys, fully recommended. I'd recommend you doing this lowering kit on your Voge if you want to lower sea heights. Thanks for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out guys, take care.